Hi, my name is Mona, and I have had some of the most stressful months of my life recently. It all started when I had to go on my maternity leave early. My pregnancy was very difficult, and my doctor ordered me to go on my leave early to avoid harming either myself or my baby. As soon as my mother heard about this, she came rushing over and helped my husband Tyron and I. She made us dinner and cleaned our house while also helping to take me to appointments. However, as I was nearing my due date, my mother broke her leg and was unable to help anymore. This was entirely understandable, of course, and we thanked her for all the hard work that she had done for us. We knew that it would be a huge challenge once the baby was born, and Tyron was worried that it would be too much for me to handle alone, and so he invited his mother to come and stay with us for a couple months. I was reluctant as I never had gotten along well with his mother. It had always just felt a bit awkward between us, but I also knew that I would need the help, and so I agreed. A week after I had given birth to my beautiful baby girl, Paige, my mother-in-law moved in. For the first few days, my mother-in-law, Karen, helped out, although I barely saw her. I was so tired and sore that I didn't register anything other than my baby girl. Between feeding her and trying to get rest and recover, I barely noticed anything else. But after a week, I began to feel like myself again. I still wasn't getting a lot of sleep, but I was in less pain. It was then that I noticed how many dirty dishes were in the sink and how filthy the house had gotten in just 1 week. Part of me wanted to ask Tyrone what had happened and why he and his mother hadn't been cleaning, but I just decided that all of us had taken a week off of doing chores so that we could focus all of our energy onto the new addition to the family. Since I had more energy, I began to tidy up when my mother-in-law came into the living room. "Oh, hello there, Karen. How's your day going?"
Oh, it's okay. I was just on my way to get something from the fridge.
I was a bit confused why she didn't offer to help me tidy up. After all, that was one of the main reasons that she was here. I needed her to help do the little things while I recovered and took care of my daughter. Sighing, I kept cleaning up while my mother-in-law went to the kitchen. As she passed me, I nearly gagged as I caught a whiff of her. She smelled worse than a dumpster. I couldn't believe how bad she smelled, and then I noticed how dirty her clothes were as well. As much as I wanted to ask if she was okay, I just made a mental note to speak to Tyrone and have him say something to her, as I knew that it would be easier to hear any kind of negativity from him, more so than from me. However, by the time that Tyrone had come home from work, I was so tired from cleaning and feeding our daughter that I decided to hold off on saying anything. A few weeks passed, and Paige was still feeding at all hours of the day. I felt exhausted, and so I asked if Karen could watch Paige while I took a nap. "Karen, I hate to ask, but could you watch Paige for a few hours? I'm so exhausted and I need a nap to recharge my batteries."
Well, I guess so.
She didn't really seem all that willing to help me, but I was so tired that I just slumped onto the couch and fell asleep instantly. I woke up a couple of hours later as I heard Karen coming into the house. She was pushing Paige in a stroller, and Paige was only wearing her pajamas. Now, this wouldn't have been a problem, but it was snowing outside, and I could tell that Paige was shivering. "Karen, what did you do?" I ran over and scooped my daughter up into my arms and cradled her into my body to warm her up.
What do you mean? I took her for a walk so you could sleep. I thought I was doing you a favor. How?
Yes, and I'm grateful that you took her out for a walk. But why didn't you bundle her up? It's freezing outside and she's only wearing thin pajamas. She also smelled terrible and clearly had a dirty diaper, but that was less of a worry at that moment. Angrily, I took Paige to the bathroom and gave her a warm bath to clean and warm her up. That night when Tyrone came home, I confronted him about his mother. "Hey, Tyrone, listen, your mother moved in to help us with the baby for a short period of time, and I'm still waiting for her to actually help out."
What do you mean? My mother said that she took Paige for a walk today?
She did, but she also took her for an hour-long walk while it was snowing, and our daughter only had thin pajamas on.
She did what?
Yes, in the freezing cold. Paige was frozen solid when she got home. And I didn't want to say anything, but your mother always smells terrible. I'm not sure that she ever bathes.
I know what you mean, but I haven't figured out a way to say it without hurting her feelings. Listen, tomorrow you have a follow-up appointment with the doctor. Have my mother watch Paige while you go. Let's give her another chance.
I really didn't want to, but I had no choice. My own mother still hadn't fully recovered, and we didn't have the money to hire someone to come into the house and help me out. Reluctantly, I left Karen in charge and went to my appointment. When I got home, that's when things went very sour. The smell of something burning was coming from the kitchen, and my mother-in-law was laying down on the couch watching TikTok on her phone. I was about to say something when I heard Paige crying upstairs and then ran up to check on her. Her face was red and she was once again in a dirty diaper. After changing her, I went downstairs and checked the kitchen. On the stove was some burnt food. I then checked the fridge and saw that the formula that I had left there for her was unused. Karen not only had ignored her for who knows how long, but hadn't even fed her. That was the last straw. I had only been gone for 5 hours and Karen couldn't even be bothered to help out even a little bit. That night, I asked my husband if his mother had any friends and if I could have their numbers. At first, he was a bit confused, but I told him that her birthday was a few weeks away and that I wanted to organize something for her. Once I had their contact information, I set about arranging for a few of them to come over in a few days. On the birthday day that the friends were to come over, I told my mother-in-law that I needed her to go to the corner store and grab me a few things. She, of course, didn't want to go, but after I gave her $100 and told her that she could use whatever money was left over to buy snacks for herself, then she rushed out of the house. While she was gone, her friends arrived, and I escorted them to her bedroom where the worst of the mess was located, and I told them to wait in her room and that she would be back in a few minutes before we can start celebrating. When she finally came home, she was mortified to see her friends standing in her bedroom. She could tell that they were all disgusted by the mess around them, and the smell was horrible. Karen tried to scream at me, but she was so embarrassed that she just ran out of the house in anger. Once she was gone, I apologized to the women and escorted them out of the house and then waited for Tyrone to come home. Once he did, I told him everything that I had done and why, and while he was a bit upset with me, he was more terrified at what his mother had done. Leaving a baby alone for hours without feeding them and in a dirty diaper was neglectful. The two of us waited for her to finally come back, and when she did, we had a big fight.
Dare you embarrass me like that?
After what you did, something needed to be done to put you in your place. Paige could have had an accident, and you wouldn't have noticed because you were too busy playing on your phone.
Listen, Mom. Mona is right. You were supposed to come here and help us with Paige, and instead all you do is make a mess and lounge around the house. Every time we've asked you to help, you have let us down.
You can't speak to me that way. I'm your mother, and I can make my own choices what I want to do.
Yes, you can. But this is our house, and you can't live here anymore. If you want to live like a pig, then feel free to do it somewhere else. Because you are no longer welcome here anymore.
Karen looked as if she was about to explode. Her face was so red.
Fine, I'll just go live in a home, seeing as how I'm not wanted here.
The next week she moved out and we found an old, aged home for her to live in. I did feel a bit guilty for embarrassing her, but I also knew that if I had just accused her of being neglectful, that she would have just brushed off my comment, and I needed her to face some kind of punishment for what she did. After she left, my mother was able to begin helping again as her leg had healed, and she was eager to lend a hand. As for Karen, I did manage to get one last bit of revenge on her. I filled out the paperwork for the old age home that she was living in, and I told them that she was severely senile and incapable of cleaning herself. As a result, she is not allowed to leave the property, which means she can no longer get her favorite snacks anymore, as neither my husband nor I will bring her any. On top of that, a support worker bathes her every day, so at least she no longer smells like a dumpster. I know that she hates it there, but honestly, it's probably the best place for her. Thanks for watching. Please like the video so it can be recommended to others.